Good evening. So I hope this go live as always finds you guys doing well. Just one moment, I'm going to step away and get some incense here. Let's see here. I forgot that I used my incense up last time I was at my space. I had to get some more. Oh, Honor's on here. Hi, Honor. Yeah, I'll look for the comments. Hopefully Facebook Live communicates with me. So just to give you guys a heads up, I think maybe the big part of the storm had passed or whatnot, but we did briefly lose power. But that was probably about 10 to 15 minutes ago before it came on, and the lights were flickering and all that. Hope the weather's not bad. I don't know. I'm hoping what just recently occurred with the storm passing through is the brunt of it, but I hope it's not bad where you are. And I see my hubby's on here. He went out, Honor, and he covered the windows to our vehicle since we don't have, what do you call it, a driveway, or what do you think, the carport that goes over the cars. So if we get hail, that's not a good thing. So he went ahead and he covered the windows to the vehicles the best he could anyway, you know. So as far as just a generalized heads up with how next week I am doing a lot of 12s. I'll be looking at, start next week, I'll be doing 3 12s every week. And then for the month of April, I'm doing extra training. Even on my off days, they'll bring me in for a couple hours doing this and that. So what I'm going to do with these tarot teaching moments on the days where I'm doing my 12-hour shifts, what I'll do is every week, I'll just put a little communication in the group when I'll be going live with these tarot teaching moments. And then, so basically the days that I'm working at the hospital, I'm not even going to try to hop on to do these, because by the time I'm done working, I already know I'm going to be really exhausted. So yeah, so we'll kind of play that by ear. I'll still work on getting the card of the day, because that's not a difficult thing to post, you know. But with these teaching moments, I like to research the cards and talk to you guys and all that stuff. And I think I'll be mentally and physically just exhausted after working, you know, and I'll probably eat some little something and go to bed on those days, you know. And I see Christy's on here. Hi, Christy. And Honor says, take care of yourself. That's what's most important. I know. It's just as a courtesy, because I've been doing these tarot teaching moments for a while now. It's going to be a change to our group's routine. So it's kind of like as a courtesy, you know, because people have come to expect me generally hopping on around this time throughout the week. But yeah, it's going to look a little different, but my goal is still to cover all 78 cards with our group, and even evolve past that. Once we get past the 78, I'm going to really delve into a lot of things that Rachel Pollack covers in her books, more of the complex ways of looking at the cards. I appreciate you saying that, Honor. Like, I know you've got my back and you're supportive, and I mean, you're one of like so many in our group that just have such a good energy, you know, and I totally know that you're totally happy to help me. All I have to do is ask, and I realize that you would be there. So, you know, so yeah, I just don't want you thinking I'm worrying or anything crazy like that. Being that this is my last tarot teaching moment before I start working those 12s next week, I'm just kind of giving people a heads up just to kind of keep their eyes open for I'll post in the group when I'm going to be doing the go lives when I'm off. So the exciting part tonight is we are about to delve into the last card in the Suit of Swords. So like next week when I do tarot teaching moments, it will be regarding the court cards from Swords. But this is a really cool thing, even though the card itself doesn't necessarily look cool. So this is what we have. So as always, I want you to take in the overall energy of the card. Does this card make you feel uncomfortable or comfortable, and I'm kind of smirking as I ask that question. What are the predominant colors that you're seeing in the card, and what meanings are assigned to those colors? Even if they're not meanings that we've reviewed together, what's most important is intuitively what you feel and what you see when you're looking at the card and the color usage and the symbols. Look at the background, and yeah, and just kind of take in everything, because I'm about to go into some symbolism here. So the last Tarot Teacher moment I did briefly was about the Nine of Swords, which is also named the 3 a.m. card. This is the card about severe anxiety, depression, frustration, just being very much in your head worrying, right? It's the stuff that keeps us up at night. Well, we've progressed past that card, and now tonight here we are at this very last card in the Suit of Swords, and we have the Roman numeral for 10. And so what we're seeing here appears to be somebody very much in a murdered state. Now, when I was researching this card, Rachel Pollack's viewpoint on this was she saw it as the figure maybe being a little too self-pitying, because if you're going to kill somebody, you don't have to stab them in this manner. So she saw it from the light of just being kind of, not to do her wording a disservice, but she just saw it as somebody maybe being a little self-indulgent, pitying themselves. For me, I see this as like, this is the end, that this is a painful suit with those growing pains and transitions, and this is the culmination of all that, And what's really cool, let me see here, Honor's asking me, do you have the Modern Witch Tarot? I do, and I think I even know what you're about to ask me before you even do. Go ahead and ask me your question. You're probably wanting me to pull out the 10 of Swords from that, don't you? I actually really like that artist's take on the 10 of Swords. I may have to end up, what I could do, either me or you, if you want, we could post a picture of that in our group, because it is really cool. I just didn't think to pull it out when I set my table up. But with this, so we have somebody who is very much faces down, okay? They are not moving. They have literally been stabbed to death. They are at the very end of a journey. What is interesting that I've never noticed before is Rachel Pollack mentioned the hand that we're seeing here is the same as the hand that we see from the Hierophant. I'm going to hold it up to where you can see it. I want you to notice how the two fingers, which would be the index finger and the middle finger, are sticking up with the thumb. And then the ring finger and the pinky finger are pointing downward with the Hierophant. Okay, and the other one, you see how that one, just for the sake of comparison, we're really focusing on this one. Now, really compare that to this. Maybe it'd help if I turn it at an angle. I'm going to play around with the cards for a bit. You see that? She noticed that. And so basically, her interpretation after catching that commonality with that play on symbolism is that is a blessing, that symbol. So it's a blessing to no longer be going through this relationship, career, or what have you that has taken so much from this person. Because the beautiful thing about this card, even though it's hard to see beauty in it, is it has the vibes from like the Death card. So now this person can start anew, even though it doesn't seem like they're going to come back from this. Honor says, how interesting. The Hierophant is my life card. Really? You'll have to let me know. How do you determine your life card? That is really interesting. But with this, so with the garment here, we see a lot of red. And we also, in the card, see the orange, and we see some white with the garments. So with the red, obviously, I think of blood in this scenario, because after being stabbed multiple times, there's going to be a lot of blood. But the color red can stand for that passion. It can be triumphant, valor, love. Those are a few meanings that come to mind. And when we were going through the suit of wands, the orange color is all generally about the excitement, very synonymous with fire. I think this just kind of, it's just for me, I predominantly see blood with this. But with this, it kind of shows how it's like the fruition. It's like the end of something. This was not a sustainable thing, And then the white stands for purity, and look at how barren the ground is here. And of course we have some red there. But across the way, so we have still waters. And so being that we don't have any waves or anything, we don't have any emotion. Again, very much the death vibe, very still, uncomfortably still, actually. Let's see here. Honor says, we learned with Karen, if I remember correctly, you add all the numbers of your day, month, and year of your birth, then keep breaking it down until it's a number under 22. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. I was not aware of that. I'm going to have to check out what my life card is. And feel free to share that with our group too. I think they would enjoy determining what their life card is. But see, so we have still waters. Now in the background, there is a new beginning, a new journey with different obstacles. So we do have the mountainous region in the background. We do have some yellow there, which very frequently we're talking about the illumination, warmth, seeing where somebody is on their path. It has those sun card vibes from the major arcana. However, in this card, we have predominantly black that takes up most of it, with gray, meaning that it's just a very, just a kind of I hate to say it, but maybe like a Debbie Downer, with the gray, and just a lot of unknown, uncertainty, and maybe feelings of feeling kind of stripped down, vulnerable, scared. Because with this, we're just looking at there's a loss. But it's not, how do I put this? By this point in time, the central character had to know maybe this end was coming. There's differing viewpoints on that. Some people think by the time we get to the 10 of Swords, this person knew that their trajectory was not sustainable and that this was going to occur, in sharp contrast to another one who says that this person literally got stabbed in the back. Which for me, I'm thinking, how in the world does somebody stab themselves in such a manner? To me, this seems like somebody else would have done this, but even if they sought to kill this person, they wouldn't have used all these swords. So I kind of lean toward it being more of a symbolic thing versus a literal thing, if that makes sense, because unless we're talking about some serial killer off a show, I'm thinking of Dexter, or there's some show where they would leave. Oh, it was Hannibal. It was the show that was on for the longest time. Not the movie, but they made it a TV show where Hannibal Lecter, it was him and Graham, the guy, and they had this weird friendship. But then all these serial killers came out of the blue in that show, and they would kill people the weirdest ways, for show. that kind of puts me in mind of that. Criminal Minds. I don't think I've seen that show. I bet they do stuff like that in there. It's crazy, right? So let's see. I'm going to go over some descriptors to make sure I'm being thorough. So what we're seeing here is an ending, despair, ruin. It does make way for a new beginning. It's a new chapter, even though it very much doesn't feel like it. But again, that's what that yellow in the background means. Released from the stress of the Nine of Swords, okay, which led to the 10. Death energy. So we have change coming. As per Rachel Pollack, from like a Kabbalist, like Kabbalah type of view, they see it as basically all of us will die. All living things must die at some point. So this is like somebody coming full circle. It's mental awareness of this great truth that all things will die. So they were kind of alluding to that, like within her narrative, as like the ultimate truth. You know, that is the truth we all end up reaching. Failure, bitter, collapse, exhaustion, victimization, betrayal. So with love, we're looking at like a breakup, to where no, things couldn't be worked upon, and you know, they split up, went their separate ways. And even though that's painful, but it leaves room for a new start and a new beginning, you know, or they could just separate to where they don't want to necessarily call it a quits, but their current trajectory is not a healthy one. So they just need that time apart. Pain and grief with relationships. So this could also, you know, have like some meaning toward friendships as well, where people either they stop being friends or they try to work on it. But either way, this is a very uncomfortable, painful crossroads, because neither person's a big fan of the other one at that point with the Ten of Swords energy. You know, especially if you get a Three of Swords with this card, it definitely would point toward relationships. With career, we're looking at a loss of a job, office politics, or burnout. Kind of like that saying, what is it? One and done, stick it to me and I'm done. There's some saying about like when you're cooking, and it alludes to like something like a food, an article of food being stuck and oh, it's done. Like a timer, I think. And then Honor says, let's see. So about Criminal Minds, Honor says it's been a long time, but it's an interesting show if you like crime. They have a reboot, but I haven't seen it. Good to know. I've been watching Daisy Jones and the Six on, what is it, Amazon Prime? Since like my husband and I have like Prime, we get it for free. It's a pretty decent show. I'm approaching the end of that series, and now I really want to read the book. I haven't read the book to it. And Honor says, I feel a prolonged tower energy in the sword suit. Me too. And it was mentioned when I was reading Rachel Pollack's book about the tower energy being present in this card, and it's contrasting viewpoints. Some people think this energy, this person knew this was coming, versus, you know, like tower energy, it's like lightning out of the sky that strikes the building down. And then you use what's left to rebuild because the foundation wasn't adequate with the tower card. I'm with you. This very much feels like the tower, the death card to me. I know Rachel Pollack noted a little bit of the Hierophant in here as seeing a blessing out of this gory scene, which I thought was cool. I've never noticed the way that his hand is and how it's just like the Hierophants. So with symbols, we went over the fingers, and then we went over the use of light and dark in the sky. And with the swords, one thing I read reflected this figure may not have seen his end coming, his or hers. So there's a sense of betrayal, like literally being backstabbed. And then Honor says, let's see here. Okay, never mind. I thought it was a new comment. I'm just keeping my eyes on my comments. Let's see here. And we went over the still water. There's no emotion. There's stillness. This figure is literally laying face down into the barren ground. Now, the good news, again, reflecting that not all reversals are bad. Just like I really don't believe there's a bad card in tarot. They all offer us something to reflect and grow upon. Reversed, Ten of Swords. So looking at this, again, we're talking about, generally speaking, the opposite meaning. So with this being in reverse, it would be like the swords falling out of the person. So we're looking at some healing and the reversal of that overall negative energy. So we'll see either people getting back together if they separated, or they heal and they may or may not want to go into another relationship, but they're better off than what they were when the energy was upright with the card. With work, it would be finding another job, maybe totally switching up what you do because your current profession's not good for you. And just, again, very much on the road to that healing process. They're, almost totally out of the energy of this card. Like my daddy used to say growing up, every hound dog has its day. And I would always think the little hound dog with the bloodshot eyes and the little droopy ears on the porch, and it's not feeling so great, and it's just kind of hanging out because it's blue about something. Well, even on our roughest days, as long as we take the time to reflect, process things, and use our support systems and get help as needed, we can overcome obstacles. And even something like this energy, we can take our power back, because here we lost it. Well, with that reversal, we take our power back, and it's all about starting that new journey. And then with this, it's a lesson learned when it's upright. So when we begin our new journey, if anything, we'll know what we do and we don't like and what we won't be doing again. So that way we do keep evolving on our life journey, and we can help others with that information. So it cannot get worse. It's only upward. Although I did see an interpretation on Labyrinthos where it stated that, this could mean like somebody could go further into the darkness and despair. I'll leave that up to you if it resonates with you or not. To me, I don't know. I would think this is pretty intense on its own. So by the time we get to a reversal, which would be, like we were talking about, generally speaking, the reverse of the upright meaning, I would think they're coming out of that. They're at the tail end of that, So we review, there's healing and lessons learned with the reversal, and how with love, we're looking at recovering, career, a new job. With finances, we're recovering toward financial stability. So I lean toward that healing part, because to me, this is pretty intense. So, yeah. So that covers everything I wrote down as far as like the key words I wanted to review. And so now we'll go over the other cards I pulled. So with this one, it makes me uncomfortable too. This very much feels like somebody with the intent to harm. Because when I look at this card, and I know it's a challenge because it's black and white, they've got like a dagger or a sword of some sort right here. This person's somehow still alive, hanging in there, and they've already got all these swords. So this would be like betrayal, and when I see these birds, they're synonymous with air, and the swords are all about the element of air, which is logic, action, communication. This to me would be like somebody hurting, me or you, betrayal, it feels very intentional because this figure sees this person down. They're not running, they are moving forward, and it looks like they have the intent to harm. And then the water in the background is not still. So we do have that emotional component in play. And then the air even looks like it's got movement to it, which makes sense. It's just chaos. So when I see this, it is not a comfortable card. And I think it's really important that it's like at times you see things literally like this, but then that figure could be things that aren't literal. It could be maybe not a someone or a something that's going on that is just kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back, like one and done, because 9 of Swords, we're staying up, waking up at night, worrying about stuff. This is the thing that basically finishes us off, essentially. It's not sustainable. No, so yeah, that's not my favorite card. The one I'm about to show you, I really like. So it shows this lady and her back is to us. And I like the birds, okay, like we were talking about, very synonymous with the air and the action, okay. She is leaving it behind. So it's like she's on a barren looking beach. We don't even see water. We just see barren land. But you know what? That's me looking at it. I think it's a beach because of maybe the yellow coloration. I think that's sand. That could just be some dirt. Because really there's nothing to draw from here. But she's walking away towards something better. I really, really, I prefer this to the swords in the back. This has a more peaceful feeling to me versus even that one I just showed you guys. Like, oh my gosh, guys. Isn't it crazy how the artist, how they interpret it? Like, it's wild. And then here's this guy. He's not flying off anywhere. Poor guy. He's just been stabbed too many times. And then you just see it's like it looks very overcast with like use of blues and blacks. The tree branch has no leaves on it. That appears dead. And let's see here. So, this is my Crow Tarot from MJ Cullinane. This one is the Light Seers deck. And this one, I believe you have this deck, Honor. It's Tarot of the Abyss. It's the deck that you drew the Empress card for our book club. That's where that came from. I know. So yeah, with this one and with those uses of blues and blacks, to me it looks like maybe some snow. So we're looking at purity. It's like becoming clean again. And then anytime we see mountainous regions, we're thinking of obstacles. This is like almost like being buried though. Like if you look at it, like it's crazy, right? It's just being buried. Just, And then Honor says, I need to get Lightseer. I've heard a lot of good things. I would recommend it. Like whenever I've read for other people, no joke, that Lightseer's deck, they generally gravitate toward that one or the Tarot of the Abyss. People don't really gravitate toward my Crow Tarot deck very much. And what I've grown to realize is a lot of people don't like crows. They have these negative connotations to them. So they tell me they don't feel as comfortable with that versus some of my other decks. They'll be like, oh yeah, I want that one. But especially the Light Seers. And I think it's because even people, if they don't know anything about tarot or maybe very little, it's just very well done to where the imagery, you can really intuitively gain a lot by looking at the picture, and it's colorful and it's modern. I think people relate to that more so than, say, even the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, which from what I've ascertained, the Rider-Waite-Smith doesn't necessarily resonate with a lot of people. It's just not diverse. Even though that is the foundation, like we all know, of tarot, but, if you don't love a deck, if it doesn't resonate with you, then it's like it's hard to grow with it, you know? And so to wrap things up, I've got the Ten of Swords from the Hush Tarot. With this one, it looks like she's turning inward to me. Probably doesn't feel very good. It may be she's sad, feeling vulnerable. I don't see any garments on her, so she's probably feeling vulnerable. And I see vegetations. I see flowers. I don't know. I mean, I think we could all agree there's some sort of sadness and loss with this card, but again, it's not based on Rider-Waite-Smith. So for someone that's learning, they're going to lose so much meaning with this card, you know? And then let's see. So Honor says, I find the original Rider-Waite kind of stale. I think I do too, because like I don't, and I've got, you know, like many of us, I've got a lot of decks. I never think when I do readings for myself, or even when I go out to do readings for others, I never think myself like I want to take the Rider-Waite-Smith with me. I don't know, like I gravitate more toward the decks that I show you guys on these tarot teaching moments. I like how they playfully use these characters, animals, these scenes, and they transfer over the symbolism to where that meaning stays with them. It feels like a fresher take on it versus the Rider-Waite-Smith. It very much is, I don't know. Like there's certainly a beauty there and I value it. It's just got a different feel to it. And I don't know. I know what you're saying though, because I feel the same way. So like we always say, in case nobody's watched my tarot teaching moments before, if you are learning and you have to have a deck that's not based on Rider-Waite-Smith after you research it, do kind of like what I did with the card of the day for our group. Get you a little Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I mean, there's even the Radiant, which is what I use when I put them side by side, to where you can still learn your base meanings after you intuitively read your cards and grow that way, or either get a book with the Rider-Waite-Smith with a description of the card, and you can still have the non-traditional. Although my humble opinion is get you a deck based in it. It's going to make it a lot easier to learn from. So I think that sums us up for tonight. Tomorrow I'll go ahead and do a card of the day, and I'll post in the book club, which will be covering the Emperor next week. So I'll start covering about him. And then Kyle. So we're all in for a treat. Kyle's going to come back and visit with us on Sunday at 8 p.m. So tune in to listen to him tell us about our week coming up. And I think that is the gist of it. And then Honor, if you want to post that picture in our group of the Ten of Swords from the Modern Witch Tarot, that would be cool. Because you're right. The moment you asked me about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's probably my favorite Ten of Swords card, would be the way that they drew them. It's just so funny. You guys will see, you know. So thank you very much for your presence and for tuning in tonight. And I hope that wherever you are, that you stay nice and warm and safe out of these storms. And yeah, I think that wraps us up. Good night, guys. Bye.